Alright, I've got yet another new demo of features for ProffieOS7. So I'll do the demo quick, but there's actually a lot to explain on this. So this is based off the last Airbender, and this is using a bunch of new features. So I have a separate playlist on the new synergy between visual and sound effects that are going to make so much more possible with OS 7. And that's using that as well as several other new features that are coming to my prop. And those new features are what I'm calling special abilities. And essentially, because now the style code is able to interact with the sound font as well as interact with the props in terms of being able to actually use different controls for different things in each preset, this is possible. So I've set up this last Airbender inspired blade, and it's got an air blade, a fire blade, a water blade, and an earth blade. Now the earth blade is green because trying to do brown on the NeoPixel was kind of orangey and it looked too much like the flame blade, so it's a green blade, so it's not canon. And then for the sound fonts, I found a couple, but I couldn't find all the fonts to match all the elements, so I kind of mixed and matched some sound. So bear with me, this is just for demo purposes. I'm sure eventually a font maker out there is going to actually support it, plus all the new features. But so some of the sounds aren't perfect, but I wanted to kind of get the look and feel of it. So special abilities are a new feature coming to my prop, and what it does is it allows your the style itself to determine what those special abilities are. So we're able to take the style code in each preset and have completely different special abilities, almost like in a fighting game how one character has this ability and another character has that, and how the controls to do them are different. That's all now possible. So it's going to start out as an air blade. I mixed up a bunch of fonts to get to kind of an air sound. So bear with me. Oops, that's the wrong preset.
Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony.
That's the right preset. So that's my air blade. So now I have, like I said, technically there's 4 special abilities, but there's 4 blades. So the default special ability is the base blade in this setup. You can actually set up more, but we'll talk about that. So now I can go from my air blade to my fire blade, and it's an instant change. And the sound, so all the sounds, so the in, the out, and the swings, and the hum, they're all for the fire blade because now the style code is able to also interact with the font to change the sounds. And let's go back, I forgot to show the air blade fully, so we'll go back to air. And you can go, special abilities let you jump in and out of all of these different capabilities on demand in real time. So this is the air blade. And then the in. So it's got its own sounds, it's got its own effects. Let's go take a look. We'll take a look at the, I think this is earth. Oh, that's water. Now this is my interactive water blade, so if I hold it up, the water is going to flow in this direction quickly, and then as you level off, it'll slow. And then as I point down, it's going to flow in the other direction. And pointing down flows the fastest. But we have different sounds. And this uses the accelerating and decelerating ignition and retraction, so it actually starts off slow and then picks up speed. But all those sounds are unique. And then lastly, this should be earth. And like I said, I used green for earth, but different sounds. So, and now, typically in the past, you could do color change, and you could use multi-phase, which jumped presets, to do something like this, but those were set in a sequence. So you would go from fire to air to water to earth, back to fire to air to water, earth. You were stuck because of how the code worked. Special abilities, and the ability now for the style code to interact with the font and the prop, means that I can set it up so that I can go to any of these elements at any point in time. So I'm on earth. What do we just come from water? Let's just jump right to, we'll jump right to air. All right, we can go right from air. We can go right back to earth. I can go from earth to water. Oops, I'm gonna go on my button. It's hard to hold that way. There we go. My button's hard to hold with my hand. Alright, so that's water, and then I can go from water to fire, which I might have done already, so let's go back. We'll go back to water. So the special ability lets you set up controls to be unique to the preset and also change however you want and whenever you want in real time, changing visual effects, sound effects, and everything else. And it doesn't, let me go to the fire blade just because this blade's a little loud. So I'm going to go this way you can hear. So the nice thing about special abilities, which is a new feature, is that the style code can actually dictate what those special abilities are. And with the combination of the interactive controls, the new ability of my prop to actually let the style code dictate its controls, you can have different presets do completely different things, have completely different special abilities, have all these different styles and everything built into them. And that's the big piece of what ProffieOS7 is, and that's what separates Proffieboard. And not to talk about the other boards, if you have another board that you love and enjoy, that's great. But with Proffieboard, your config file, when you load the style code, the code that runs your visual effects, that's actually real code. If you think of it, your Proffieboard Saber is kind of like a video game platform or a console, and you can load each piece of style code is actual code. It's software, almost like a mini video game that can run and do different things. In the past, it was usually just visual effects. But now, because of the ability for we've created the synergy between the style code, the font, and then in some ways the prop, the style code now becomes almost a full mini video game in that it can change how the sounds work. It can change what controls are available, how the controls work, as well as the visual effects. So you have your Proffieboard Saber becomes a video game console. And every preset is like a different game you load onto it. So it's the same as buying a new video game. Video game console has the same controller, but every game you load and play has different controls that do different things. It has different sound effects and visual effects and interactions and different reasons to enjoy it. And that's what makes Proffieboard so different that I think a lot of people miss, is that your style code that you put in your config is actual code. So now we're leaning into that and we're letting the style code be what it is, and the style code can now completely change how your Saber experience is preset to preset. So one Proffieboard Saber, you can load a ton of different presets, and each preset is like a different game with different things. And you don't have to, like, if you just like Canon lightsaber styles that, light and sound, you can do that. But if you wanted to add a preset like this that's out of universe, or like a video game, a mini game, has all these other capabilities built into it, because you're able to load that software to your board, you can have one preset be standard, straightforward lightsaber. Next one could be completely off the wall, mini game, full interaction, all these quotes, all these capabilities, everything possible. The next one could be completely different. So all of a sudden, your single Saber becomes so many more things just by having different style code in different presets. And for those of you, this inevitably comes up, and again, if you have a Saber that you enjoy it. But this inevitably comes up where people get scared of Proffieboard, or there's naysayers out there who just don't like it, or people who tried it a long time ago and had a hard time, and all of a sudden it became the enemy. Proffieboard's never been easier. So if you can, basically, if you're interested in Proffieboard, if you haven't heard about it, if you're looking to buy a lightsaber, particularly a high-end NeoPixel saber, do your research on Proffieboard. Don't take just my advice. Don't take the advice of somebody who hasn't used a Proffieboard. Don't take the advice of somebody who tried it a long time ago and gave up, because it's the speed at which Proffieboard updates. If you haven't kept up with it, it's very easy to fall behind. Even people who have our own Proffieboard, who are on previous versions of the OS, they don't even realize what's possible in the previous OS, and we're about to come out with OS 7. But do your research, find the Saber that has the features that you actually want. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel, and I just released the playlist for what the synergy between the style code and the fonts is going to unlock, because it's going to take these sabers so far into the future, so much more advanced than what's been possible before, because we lean into the fact that you're actually able to program different code. And that's where people get scared. You don't have to be a programmer to use a Proffieboard. most of the capabilities, everything I show in my videos is available in my library, or will be, obviously, because this is a future release. You just go to the library, you just download the code, it's copy and paste. So if you're interested, if you want to learn about Proffieboard, if you've heard people say it's so difficult or it's so challenging or you need a degree to use it, here's what's involved. You need a computer, all right, and you have to have a data cable. Or it's a cable, you buy it on Amazon. If you have a computer, you have a cable to connect. Can you follow a few instructions? If you can follow some step-by-step instructions, and if you're able to if you get stuck at a step during the process, if you're able to ask a question to any of the support groups, and there's so many people out there, this community is really helpful, but if you have a computer with a data cable, with the ability to follow some instructions and the ability to ask a couple of questions, the first time you do your upload, you've learned everything you need to learn, and then you can do Proffieboard. And uploading after that point is so easy. On top of that, Frederick's got a web programmer, and I've built a config helper tool that take the two other steps that people seem to trip up on and make them even easier, because now all you have to do is go into the tool, build out what you want your saber to do. You choose all the options, you choose how you want it to work, you choose all the colors and everything. You're going to have to load your fonts on the SD card, but you have to do that on any saber. And then you're going to follow a couple steps, and you're going to press a couple buttons, and then your saber gets updated. So it's never been easier. Editing, there's multiple ways you can edit. You can edit through edit mode if you want to use that, which is on the saber. You can edit through ProffieOS Workbench, which is done through, again, your website and a hook up to a computer. Or if you have a Bluetooth enabled saber, you can do it through your phone just by using the ProffieOS Workbench with your Bluetooth. So everything that people are afraid of or that people think is so difficult about Proffieboard, there is nothing that nobody can learn. Proffieboard is different, and that difference is what allows for all of these capabilities. So with the Proffieboard, do your research. I have several websites that offer help, offer information, actually are great tools. My style library for OS 6 has over a million combinations of styles, which have completely unique styles, colors, everything you could think of, and it's going to probably quadruple with OS 7's release. And that's all stuff you just pick what you want. You get to see it, click a button, it copies the code for you, you go into your text file, you paste it, and then you follow the steps to upload, and all of a sudden you have all of this on your saber, and it's no programming unless you want to. It's not challenging unless you want to make it. And the freedom and the unique experience that you're going to have now, where we're making it so that your Proffieboard saber, every single preset is going to be its own thing. It's like having a video game console where you load a config, which is different games that can do completely different things. We've got the mini game capabilities, and I only showed one demo of that. There's a bunch of capabilities there. We've got all of the new sound integration, so that you can have these crazy visual effects that actually have sounds working in synergy with them. So we're not just taking some bitmap file and just running it in a loop. These animations on this blade, like the water blade, so this is real time using information from the gyro and the accelerometer to set up this blade style. So this blade style reacts in real time to how much I move it. And if I tip it straight up, it's moving in one direction. All right, I think it's easier to see if I stand back here. If I tip it down, it starts to slow. And if I reverse course, it starts to flow in the other direction. You can't do that with a bitmap. You can only do that with software, and that's what makes Proffieboard so different, and I think that's what a lot of people end up missing, is that all of the abilities that you have for Proffieboard are because of the presets running different software, different style code in each one, and now that synergy between visual and audio effects, plus the ability for the style code to actually have its own controls, and in some cases change how the controls work, means that every different preset is a different video game experience, all on your saber, all on one saber. And the possibilities are unlimited. And as font makers start to learn about all the new sound capabilities and how the sounds and styles work, I guarantee they're going to want to support it, because I've had so many font makers who want to do certain things for really creative reasons, and they haven't been able to. They've been limited. we're taking most of those limits away, and it's going to make so much more of what all these imaginative people have in this community possible. So if you don't have a Proffieboard and you want to learn about one, take the time to learn about it. If you have been turned off by Proffieboard in the past, it's not scary, it's not hard, and it's going to offer so much more than you've even thought possible now. OS 7 is completely game changing for Proffieboard and for the community. I have to take a time. Big thanks to Frederick. So I spend a lot of time coming up with crazy ideas. Without Frederick, none of this is possible. In a lot of cases, some ideas start off small, and then Frederick and I start back and forth, and Frederick, it sparks a new idea, and then all of a sudden Frederick goes off and running, comes up with something even more creative. And Frederick doesn't get in front of the camera, and Frederick doesn't really do a lot of self-promotion. But without him, none of this is possible. So I get to jump on videos and have a YouTube channel and come up with really creative and crazy ideas because I enjoy it. But the reason I can do that stuff is because of him. So I do always have to take a moment to say thanks to him, because he created Proffieboard. He made the OS so flexible, so open, and he's always been open to new ideas and collaboration, and we've been able to come up with OS 7 is so amazing for what, there's literally no limits anymore for what's going to be possible on your Saber. And I'm telling you, this is still just the beginning. So I have that playlist. If you didn't see the playlist on the synergy between sound and styles, check it out, because I've got about a dozen different uses for that. So even if you don't like one thing, there's something else in there you're going to like. Plus we have all of the new mini game concepts. We have conditional effects. We have the ability to chain effects. We have all the new alt font and transition sound capabilities. And there's still more coming. So I'm doing the final testing on a bunch of stuff. Frederick's finishing up some stuff. And I'm trying to shoot demos, but it takes some time for all that. So there's actually more you guys haven't even seen yet. So OS 7 to me, even just as of today, is just breaks all the barriers. And there's more coming. So keep an eye out. I know everybody's going to enjoy. And those of you who are interested in Proffie, who have been scared of Proffie, don't let anybody turn you off. Take your time, learn about it. If you decide, if you learn about it, you see it's not for you, hey, find a Saber that makes you happy, because that's what this community, that's what this hobby is about. Something that makes you happy. But don't not consider Proffieboard because somebody else told you. You should do your research yourself, and you should make that decision for yourself. It's not as hard as anybody makes it out to be. I do have, like I said, I'll try to link all the websites, and if you can read through, if you can have a computer, have a data cable, follow some instructions, ask a question, you can update your Proffieboard, and you can get the most out of it, all just with a little copy and pasting and following some steps. So, hope you enjoy.